our next guest, and I'm so happy that we got him on the show. Somebody who's really big in his area, and we are totally pumped that he's joining us today. Mean Bean Romero, what's going on, brother? How have you been?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just getting in the swing of things, trying to start up a new camp here. So I'm a little tired.
So here you are, man. You are like the master of putting together, win streaks. I mean, at one point you put together like 5, another time 6, and another time you went undefeated for like 3 years. Now you're on a 3-fight win streak, correct?
Yeah, something like that. I think 3.
So what is this fight camp looking like for you? Is it any different than the other ones that you've been at? What's special about this one this time?
Just gotta go back to my roots. Train with my old trainer that I started with a while ago, or actually about 6-7 years ago. So just gonna go back to my roots a little bit and focus a little bit more on my head movement and a lot more on the things that I'm better at, like wrestling and takedowns and stuff like that.
And you fought in 3 different divisions at this point?
Yeah, I started out at 205.
Yeah.
Then I fought at 4. So I started at 205, then went to 85, then 70, and I fought at 155.
So where are you fighting at this next fight? What weight class is it at?
Probably 170.
170
is a good 170 is a good fit for me. 155 fucking sucks.
So I got a lot of listeners out there that totally love when the fighters kind of give their insight on how they keep that weight off. I mean, what's your trick on keeping that weight off, but at the same time, still getting those treats here and there?
Well, I mean, I work really closely with Derek Varen. He runs the 218 Fitness up here in Minnesota, and I know he's just recently got Dolce certified. So he's really been keeping me on point with my diet the last, I'd say, 6 fights or so. And obviously my wife really has my back and keeps me on the straight and narrow in the kitchen. So, but this fight's going to be a little more interesting. We're both fighting on the same card, and I wouldn't want to be in the Romero household on fight week.
Your girl's fighting on that same card?
Yeah, my wife is. Yeah.
I was about to say, man, it takes a special kind of woman to date a fighter, and now you got two fighters under the same roof, both going through weight cuts. I mean, what's that like, man? That's got to be interesting.
I'll tell you at the end of this fight camp. You'll be her amateur debut. So I know she does pretty well with controlling me and my moods, and I couldn't ask for a better person to be married to, let alone a better training partner. And she keeps me when I don't want to do this or don't want to do that. She either guilts me into doing it or she forces me to do it. So it's definitely it's interesting to be a fly in the wall in the Romero household would be a treat.
Do you guys have any kids together right now, or no, not yet?
No, we won't have kids. We're not. Either one of us are able to have any more kids. But I have 3 kids myself, and she doesn't have any.
So are you still doing the side job? What are you doing? Bails bonds or?
No, I'm a probation officer.
Probation officer.
Yeah.
I knew it was somewhere inside that area. Are you still pursuing that?
Oh yeah, I've been just had my 7th year of being a probation officer. I've been in corrections since 2002. More dominantly the juvenile corrections, which is where I flourished at. But I've been between adult parole and adult probation. Now I'm an intensive pretrial release probation officer. So it's not my side gig. It's my gig, and fighting is more my side gig.
What are the sacrifices that you kind of have to make, but to be a fighter and to also go in there and have to bring home that paycheck as well? I mean, what sacrifices did you have to make for this fight camp and all that?
Well, I mean, just fighting in general, I'm steady making sacrifices because of my career. I mean, anybody that's familiar with my past and my history, I was in prison myself when I was younger, and I think that I owe it to society, and I owe it to the kids, and I owe it to the other people that look up to me, that I can't abandon what the Creator has invested in me. And I think that it would be a slap in the face if I gave up my career and all my hard work. I mean, I've no matter how hard I've worked at being a fighter, I've put in 10 times more work being successful at my job and being a successful human being. And I think that if I were to quit doing that in pursuit of fighting, I think that that kind of be a slap in the face. You know, I mean, I can't think of a logical or I can't think of an explanation or a logical reason why I'm not dead or in prison right now. So I think that there's a reason for that, and I think it's so I can affect lives. And so I've made a conscious decision very early in my career in fighting that I would never give that up to pursue fighting. And I think that that has kept me from the UFC. I think that that has kept me from being in the Ultimate Fighter. I've had several, I think 3 or 4 opportunities to get on the show, and I mean, it came down to my job saying if you go, you don't have a job when you get back. So, I mean, obviously, that's a no-brainer for me. And I mean, everybody knows that fighting doesn't pay child support. You know, fighting doesn't pay the bills in a consistent manner. But I mean, that's really not why I chose my career as a probation officer over fighting. It's just it's deeper than just money for me.
Well, a lot of people out there don't realize that even guys in the UFC, even in the top 15, they still aren't making enough to bring home to support their families. It's hard being a fighter and, supporting your family, paying for the fight camp, and, everything else that comes along with it. The amateur guys or the guys starting out as pros got to sell their own tickets. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and it goes underappreciated. And that's why I do this, to, help you guys get your, to help sponsor you guys and get your names out there. And man, you don't need my help. You've been around for so long now, and you have such a positive message. And I love hearing your story here because I'm from an inner city, and I'm watching my little sister come up through high school and kind of seeing the same decisions that I had to face at one point with peer pressure and, living in a city. It's rough, man, because you think one thing's cool, but 5 years down the road, that same thing's not cool anymore.
No, it's definitely not. And I mean, and I have a different flavor to bring to the table as far as being a probation officer. I mean, like I said, I've been blessed with opportunities that an average man that have gone through the shit that I've gone through would not have been gifted with. And that gives me an opportunity to not be molded as the stereotypical probation officer. Oh, they're out to get me, or I mean, anybody, I have very few people that'll say, Tat Romero, he's a fucking asshole. He sent me to prison, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I have, thank you notes from prison saying, Tat, we know that you had to do what you had to do. And, you've exhausted every opportunity or every alternative to keep me out of prison. We just chose the wrong way. And, and they understand. They know that I will exhaust every alternative before I say, what, I've done everything I can, man. It's time to let the judge make the decision now. And I've been blessed with the opportunity to be able to live outside that box in my career, and I've been granted that opportunity by my supervisors and my coworkers, and they allow for that. They don't scrutinize me for being outside that cookie cutter persona.
Well, of course, you're gonna kind of make friends with your clients. Not like friends, but you're gonna have that emotion towards them. You kind of want to take care of them. So I got to ask you, it kind of is similar to that. Have you ever fought somebody that you've been friends with or trained with or anything like that, where it was kind of awkward or weird, or did you have no problem?
I absolutely refuse. I will not fight somebody that I've trained with. I won't fight anybody that I'm friends with, even like if I'm kind of, homies with, even on social media. I just can't bring myself to do it. Like, like I said in my interview uh, the other day, I mean, I'm an ugly person when I fight. I don't like that person. That person that fights, that's the person that got me locked up, and that's the person. That's the monster. That's the boogeyman in me that I let come out to play for 15 minutes here and there. I mean, that's not somebody that I want my friends to deal with. I mean, whether they're better fighters than me or not, I go in there and I want to kill you. I
So
mean, the only thing that's keeping me from not killing you is the ref stopping me or you being better than me.
So does your corner really try to help you out in there? Like, say for instance, you rock somebody and you kind of want to jump on them. Does your corner really try to help you out there? Are you still listening to what your corner's advice is giving you? Have you?
Yeah, I'm always conscious. I'm always aware of what's going on. I mean I hear my corners very well. Surprisingly, I'm half deaf. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I mean I was born without my right ear, and so it's surprisingly I hear my corners very well, and I'm very with it. So I mean it's just I tune into something that brings me to another place, and I feed off of that.
So at
If that
this
makes sense.
Oh, of course. And you know what? There's other fighters out there. Nick Newell, for instance, who's been on this show before. He had one arm. He was World Series of Fighting champ at one point before losing the
Mm-hmm.
belt to Justin Gaethje. Huge inspiration, man, overcoming the odds there. So at this point in your career, man, what's really changed for you? You kind of grew up with the sport through all these years from, the early 2000s. Now it's 2017. What's been the one thing that really has changed, in the scene, in the sport?
Uh, well, I mean, just the average fighter has evolved so much more. Like, I mean, for example, Tito Ortiz was able to impose his will just off the simple fact that he could take somebody down and control them and pound on them. Well, it's not that easy anymore. So, I mean, I've had to evolve a little bit with my jiu-jitsu, but I mean, that's just comes. That's not. I didn't do jiu-jitsu because I wanted to get better at fighting. I did jiu-jitsu because I wanted to get better at jiu-jitsu, and I mean, it just happens to blend well. I mean, I have I have the ability. My wrestling and my MMA blend very well, and a big part of that is probably my durability. I'm not. I mean, I'll take a good clipping just to get in and get on somebody's legs, and uh, I guess that's some things just can't be taught. So I guess people are granted a lot more availability of different arts, which I haven't been. I mean, I live way up. I'm like an hour and a half from the Canadian border, and we don't have much stuff up here. So I mean, I have jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I coach wrestling, so I mean, I have my pretty rich history of wrestling. So
Yeah, from high school days, guys. He was actually you were actually high school champion, correct?
yeah, I was a state champion in
Or
high
state
school.
champion.
Yeah, and I was an All-American in JUCO college. So
So now you're seeing this whole younger generation come up in the high schools and everything. It's got to be cool for you, man. So what I got to ask you here is, what is it like in your area? Because we got listeners all over the world, from Brazil to France to California. What's it like in your part of the world?
well, in my part of the world, we still have snow on the ground. Uh, I think this week was the first day in a couple weeks. We just touched the 30s and 40s not too long ago, and then it dipped back down to below zero for another week or so. So I mean, I have bad arthritis in my knees. I've had 9 knee surgeries, so I really hate
Meniscus.
the. Yeah, I have no cartilage in any of my knees. Uh, but I mean, the up and down of the weather is killer during fight camp. You know, I'm okay with -40 degree weather as long as it's -40 degree weather all the time. I'm
Yeah.
okay with 102 degree weather as long as it's that all the time. If it just it's very painful, and it's hard for. I hate calling myself an old fighter, but I mean it's hard for somebody that's been through the grinder for so many years to acclimate for one day and then back to the other thing. Then you got to reacclimate, then back to it. I mean it's hard to explain.
Well,
And I mean the closest all-out MMA gym from me. other than the close group of friends that I train with, is 4 hours away. So
you hear it a lot
and,
with fighters that get surgery on their knees or their back when the weather changes, like when storms come in and stuff. It actually affects their bodies, which I find crazy. It's crazy to think of that, and I don't know what it is that makes those changes, but you get achy and living here on the East Coast, the weather's constantly changing, hot and cold, so I totally catch your drift there. I can relate with you on the meniscus thing, so I got to ask you this. I always get nervous when I'm going on runs or kind of hyperextending my knees that it might pop out. Do you ever have that fear ever that your knee might pop out again?
no, I mean, I don't wear knee braces. I mean, I had my ninth knee surgery when I was a junior in high school.
Wow, man. Wow.
And I've kind of committed myself to, if it will be, it will be.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna blow my knee out, it's gonna happen whether I'm wearing a $2,000 knee brace or not. So I mean, when it hurts, and I just chill out. I mean, big important thing for me, and probably the reason that I've lasted so long in my career is, I listen to my body. I mean, I'm not afraid to say, you know what, I'm gonna chill out today and maybe go for a walk or do this or do that. I mean, I don't put any unnecessary stress on my body than I already have the past 13, 14 years.
Yeah. Are you doing much sparring now, or not that much as you?
We used to bang hard all the time.
Yeah.
Just try and destroy each other. But now it's maybe once a month we'll have a heavy spar day. But other than that, it's all situational and time sparring with the MMA gloves. I mean, that was a big key to the evolution of the sport, is that people don't have to kill each other anymore. And I think that in the past we thought, well, that's how we're gonna get tougher, is if we just try and destroy people. And I think that the sport has kind of evolved past that, and my striking's gotten 10 times better just in the last couple of fights, just from doing time sparring stuff and not worrying about getting my head knocked off.
Yeah, Cowboy Cerrone actually said that he's barely doing any sparring at all at this point in his career because he's got to take it easy. He's got to protect his body and listen to it. My last question to you here is when somebody comes to see your fight, this upcoming fight, it might be the first time they see you. What can they expect when they catch your fight?
Geez, I mean, it's when they come to watch my fight. I've heard all sorts of things. I mean, I have an awesome walkout. I come out to the War Drums live, and I put on a good show, whether I'm gonna run through somebody or if it's gonna be a really tight fight. I mean, there's a reason people like to watch me fight, and I'm very aggressive. I have a good show, and I'm always respectful of my opponents when the fight's over.
If you go in there and you get this win, what will that do for you at this point?
It'll just be another win on my belt. I mean, I signed this 4-fight deal, and I signed it with the idea that it would be the last corner of my career. I'm not looking anywhere past my one fight coming up, and when that fight's done, I'll look towards the next fight. And I'm a very be in the moment type of person, and I just want to enjoy what's left of my career without having to stress what's next.
Tat, it means so much for you to come on Pure EVil MMA. What I like to do at this point in our interview is I hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If you have any sponsors, shout outs, anything at all, the floor is now yours.
I mean, I've supported my culture through my brand of Native American fighter. I mean, it's not my brand, but I definitely am honored to be sponsored by Native American fighter, and I'm also sponsored by War Tribe. They've really helped me out. They got some awesome gis. I've grown quite addicted to getting gis, so if you ever have a chance, tap on wartribegear.com and check yourself out a gi. They're top notch. I also have grip mouth guards. They've always been supporting my grill My wife always makes fun of my little chiclet teeth, but I still got out my teeth. Thankfully to grip mouth guards. So, and I mean, lastly, my community. I take a lot of pride in endorsing my local businesses on the Iron Range, and they've adopted me as one of their own. And I've been up here for almost 20 years now, and they've really been really supportive to me. And I mean, I don't know what I'd do without the local businesses up here. So there's so many to mention that I don't want to mention just one and not the others. So
no, it's so important that I let you guys, have this moment, because the sponsors really do help you guys out so much.
Yeah, they do. I can't say enough about all my sponsors. They help me out financially and emotionally, and I mean, it's just the overwhelming support I get from my community is very heartfelt. So.
Well, we better warn everybody during that weight cutting week between you and your wife. We got to warn everybody about that. But we wish you guys the best of luck in your upcoming fight, and thank you so much for coming on Pure EVil MMA. Best of skill in your upcoming fights.
I appreciate it.